Yeah. Let's get started. It's not actually loading. It's just yeah. Okay. So, how to get a job as a game artist in 3 difficult steps. These are the steps, and they build up on top of each other, so you can't really skip. So that's you. You want to get a job at the big AAA, Then you have 2 options. You either go to school, or you learn on your own, or you do both. You go to school and at school, like you're learning on your own. And then you learn about all the different disciplines. You've got modeling, texturing, UI, technical art, animation, and so on. And you get overwhelmed. So many different things to learn, so little time. Where do you even start? But now you kind of know about all the different disciplines. You know what you like. You pick one. You don't really care about the others. So you do a project. You put it on ArtStation. You get some feedback. And you do it again. And that's the process. You just have to go through it. This is the learning curve. So I assume some people know about this. So at first, you think you're at the top of the world, you know everything, but you're actually on top of Mount Stupid. But then, you start understanding what's out there. You know what you're missing. Then your confidence go down. But then later, like you start building your experience, and then slowly but surely your confidence go up. So you do it again, get some feedback, and again, and again, and at some point your taste is refined. You know what you need to learn and what not to learn, what to work on, what not to work on, and you know what looks good. So you do more projects, and now you know enough to teach, and you share that knowledge. These are the different avenues you can share your knowledge on. There's YouTube. You can put on some tutorials there, videos. ArtStation, it's great for blogs. The other ones are like magazines for artists. You can give them your work and they post articles about them. Then you start getting some attention. People know you exist. A recruiter finds you and you get hired. So that's the whole process in a nutshell. It takes about 4 years for juniors to get hired. For internships, it's easier. So that's why the original triangle was try to get an internship first, and that will get you some experience. So how many artists do we have here? Okay. About programmers? Mostly artists, okay. What about other? Just a few. Okay, so which picture is more interesting? If you think it's A, raise your hand. Okay, what about B? Just one? Okay, well, it's some theory. We'll get back to that later. But first, let's look at, this is my friend Ryan. He got his first job, I think, 2 years ago. So fairly recent. And he was still a student at college. He posted something on ArtStation, and a recruiter found him, and they gave him a job. But later on, he got a job at Ubisoft because he won a competition there. Another friend, he has a YouTube channel. Maybe you've seen him. He does a lot of texturing tutorials. So most of his jobs and networking comes from YouTube. He has a lot of learning resources, and that's how he gets attention on his portfolio. Another friend, Dylan, he had a few different ways of getting jobs, but mainly from his portfolio. And later on, he started getting jobs from recommendations and friends and previous connections. So at first you rely a lot on your portfolio, but later on you don't really need as much. You can just, word of mouth. This is my work history. So the first one doesn't really count. It's just a contract from a teacher while I was still in school. The other 2 are internships. The main one is this technical art one at Supernatural. that was a recruiter found my work on ArtStation, but later with the layoffs and the economy and everything, that company went bankrupt. So I had a friend on at Side Effects. They hired me through there. So same story like earlier, Dylan. First you get hired from your portfolio, and then it's just connections. So how to learn art for games? So you can go to school at first and like mentorships, like someone telling you what to do, or you can seek out of information on YouTube, or learn by doing projects. But the best one is learn by teaching. So to really understand something, like try to teach it, you start understanding what you don't understand and the gaps. But you don't want to skip steps. Like they're all good, but eventually you want to get to that step. So how do you find a school? Try to talk to the people that graduated from that school and ask about their experience. If you just go on the school website, it's going to be biased, so it's just easier to see the result and go back from it. So some pictures about concept art, illustration. This is a book for 2D animators, also 3D. That's flipbooks for 2D animations, some pixel art. In 3D, you do a lot of loops to match them to the game input. Some environment art. That's some stylized stuff. Props. Some people specialize in weapons. Others texturing, just surfaces, and like you apply them on assets. Foliage. That's just you just do trees and grass and things like that. Or lighting, set up the mood and yeah. Character art. Rigging and texturing. Okay. Effects. And there's more. Okay, this is a quick breakdown. So you can see just a split second, you see the whole thing in the flash, but if you break it down, it's simpler steps and all put together. It's technical art. There's a great talk by Tech Art Aid on YouTube, just goes through all the different possibilities with tech art. You can watch that later. But technically, that's what it is, just a mixture of programmers and artists. That's a procedural like instancing system someone made on the Spider-Man game. So they take all the modules and they place them to make a city. That's one like, pipeline kind of technical art job. Another one is shaders, things that are not really assets like props or characters. It's mostly fog or things like that. Technical art for animation, like crowds, rigging, or cloth simulations. There's UI, UX. Okay, some statistics. So this is the art skill required, technical skill required, job opportunity, salary, and probability of you getting a good job. So 0.08. Exactly. So I made this whole chart just to tell you like it's a bad idea to go into character art from the start. Maybe you want to go into that later. I see a lot of students like putting all their time and effort and passion through like character art, and then they see no result. It's easier to get into the other disciplines and then transition into that if you still want to in the future. You've been warned. Okay, quality bar. Decagon is a great example. You can look up their assets. You can download some of them online. What? Yeah. You can. They're on Unreal, the Epic Store. So you just download them, open them, see what they're like, and try to replicate that or hit that quality. And once you hit that, it's like you can do the job. It's just about how to get your name out there. The environment art, mostly on the stylized side. Simon Futch, he worked on Overwatch. He's got a lot of tutorials, but they're paid. You have to pay for them. Environment, Clinton Crumpler, he's the owner of Decagon. He does a lot of, in his free time, I don't know how he has free time, but he does a lot of 3D big environments that are more on the realistic side. If you try to get to that quality, like, definitely helps you get a job. Concept art, I'm not entirely sure about that, but I found some Riot portfolio employee. Same with character art. Jason Kaiser, he worked on League of Legends, and now he just teaches. He's got his own like online academy, and he's got a lot of good tutorials about VFX. I'm not gonna try to pronounce his name, but I really like his work. He's very consistent, and he has a Patreon. He posts a lot of solutions to very complex things in the game he's working on, and you can download them and see how he built things. The other ones I'm not really sure about. Okay, so in games we've got these two axes, the art and tech, and they come together to make a game. And let's say the branches are the job opportunities in the game industry. So you've got the artists up there, engineer down here, technical artist there, and a unicorn that does not exist. Like, you can't really be good at both. You just don't have enough time on Earth. So let's just remove that. Okay, so supply and demand. So we've got a lot of artists, but the game requires a lot of artists because they're AAA games. They're really big, and they need more artists. So, but you've got you need less engineers, but they're hard to find because most of them, they just go to Google. They get paid more there. Somewhere in between, you've got a technical artist. But if you want to, like, if you all you want to do is just make money, it's somewhere here, like somewhere where you know a little bit of art, but you're very technical. And now we have AI to worry about. So minimum technical level is increasing, even for like regular artists. You have to know more about the tech. So there's another axis, marketing. So if you're an artist and you market yourself, you can sell artwork. If you're an engineer, you can sell tools. And if you're a technical artist, you just become an indie developer. Specialize or generalize? Same old question. So let's say that's you, and you start exploring to find what you like, and then you grow from there. So the same, you have to keep asking why. If you don't know why it works, you ask why, and then if you know, you also ask why. You understand what's happening, and then you can keep growing. So explore to find your niche, and then you generalize with them. And if you find your niche early, you can get a job in the AAA faster because they will put you in a niche, but then try to actively keep learning and growing. These are all the software for artists. I'm not talking about anyone like other disciplines. It's just artists. Like, these are the software you need. That's a really good combination. That's all you need to get started. But that's what you really, really need. Like, if you don't understand the engine, you don't know how to put stuff in there and like get them to work in a game that doesn't crash. There's no, like, you can be a good artist, but if you can't really put them in a game, it's just kind of pointless. But you need both skills. These are some learning resources. I'll share the slides there. Okay, so that's when I first started learning Houdini, I asked a few people on our station, and they were kind enough to just send me like a big list of do this, and that. And then I learned the stuff they recommended, and I learned from other people who wrote some articles, and that's one of the articles. I put that in there. Matt Estella was great for Vex, and Richard Banks and Simon. That's where I started, and later on got others. So software, you want to focus on hotkeys first? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. I realize you mentioned Houdini.
Yeah.
How do you get started with a software that expensive?
No, it's free. The apprentice version is free, and you can start learning. And at some point, indie version is like $200 a year or something. It's not that expensive. Yeah, the only thing I don't think you can export as FBX, but like you could pretty much do everything. You can export as OBJ, tiny things, but you can learn it for free. Yeah, most people think it's not free. That's why they don't. Yeah. Okay, so hotkeys. So let's say you're learning Blender and you have to go to the menu every time to do something, and it takes like 5 seconds, and multiply that by 100. You wasted an hour a day, every day. So it adds up. So the first thing you want to do, if you're doing something like modeling, for example, do the hotkeys. Like if there is no hotkeys for a certain operation that you keep on doing again and again, just make a hotkey for it and do that operation. Then Control Z and do it again with a hotkey until it's in muscle memory, and then you can just learn and do things way fast. So portfolio, you need to capture some attention online to be able to, so people can see your portfolio, and at some point you got a recruiter that can hire you. So how do we capture attention? The brain is practically a pattern recognition machine, and you've got an input and output. Good portfolio in recruiter's brain, and then you're hired. So how do we capture attention? These are the axioms. I made them up, but like I think they work. They've been working so far, so let's just go with that. So we answered this question earlier, except this one person here picked B. I'm not sure why. We'll talk later.
Over there, you're in the red half of the time.
There are other reasons, okay, but so 99% picked A. So in terms of complexity, it's just the right amount. It's not too simple and not too complex. It's just, perfect for the eye. In terms of compatibility, most people will click on the left thumbnail. You know why? And it says Blender, of course. But the one on the right, very few people understand what VDBs is and like what's trigonometry, motion. And it's vague. So the one on the left got 2 million views. The one on the right, 180. So compatibility goes to the left. And if you try to, so let's say your audience, like knowledge or domain, there is a black circle, and you're trying to explain to them something that is way beyond their understanding, they will just think it's boring. Or if you tell them something they understand or they already know, it's same thing, it's boring. If you tell them something just on the edge of their understanding, it's like novel. That's where like you want to hit that compatibility with your audience. In terms of compression, so I made a video, it's like a 7-hour tutorial about how to learn Houdini, and the one on the right, they made, I think it's about 5 hours or so, but they chopped it into smaller bits, like 17 minutes, put it in a playlist that's easier to consume. So it's like in terms of compression, that's more digestible on that side. So these are the axioms again. Complexity, not too simple and not too chaotic. Compatibility, not too familiar and not too foreign. Compression, not repetitive and lossless. Example, PNG and JPEG, like you don't want to lose information while you're compressing. So that's an example, a dictionary compared to memes, for example. If those memes are useful, they spread like wildfire. So, now like everyone has a 2-second attention span. So usually a photo, if you like work on your portfolio and you post a photo, you're trying to get people to see it, they're gonna look at it for about 2 seconds, and the algorithm, whatever, like Instagram or whatever you're using, the more people look at it, the more it'll show it to people. So you want to do something like a video, let's say, it'll capture more time. Or a tutorial, maybe a bit more, but usually a game has more eyes on it. And we can see that reflected in the film and game industry. Usually game industry makes about 4 times what the film industry. So what you want to try to do is make a game prototype, not a full-on game. You don't want to waste your 2-3 years of your life. So try to find some artists if you're a developer, or if you're an artist, try to find some developers, collaborate, make a prototype, put it out there. More people see it. They like the art in the game. They hire the person that made the art in the game. So on YouTube, you can share some tutorials. These are like the way these media likes and like your work presented on them. So YouTube likes tutorials. LinkedIn and Twitter, they like short videos that are splashy and a lot of contrast. I'm not sure about Instagram and TikTok, but ArtStation likes stills, like just one picture, and usually it's a square, because the thumbnail has to be a square. It could be any size, but the thumbnail should be a square, and it has to stand out compared to the other ones around it on the front page. Websites. These are the websites, but that's how you should think about them. ArtStation is where you post all your work, but LinkedIn is like how you connect with industry professionals. Your name should show up at the top. If your name is similar to some famous person and it's impossible to show up there, just try to find a different name for your page, or just an alias or something. And once you get that up there, it's easier for people to find. Post on YouTube and do some articles, 80 level and experience points, and sell. Don't try to sell them, just share them. Share your 3D models. It's when you're first starting, it's easier to get more people to know you. And every time I see some notification on about Gumroad on my email list, I see same person downloaded everything, because I have a lot of things for free on there. So, but that's how you build up an audience at first. So competitions, these are great to get your name out there. You can be anywhere in the world and do the ArtStation competition. But if you're in Ontario, which you are, you can do the Ubisoft ones. So all of these things, you put them together and you have a bigger portfolio, and it starts attracting recruiters. But smaller portfolio, you'll have to do a lot of work applying. I get asked this question a lot. Grades or certification, honor rolls, none of them matter. Can you do the job? That's the most important one. Your classmates are your friend, but the other people in the industry are your competition. So when you're learning in school together, just try to share information and push each other and try to grow together. And later on, once you're in the industry, you'll help each other get jobs. 2 to 3 pieces is all you need, and try to get rid of the outdated stuff that you think it's no longer up to the quality bar you think you're at. Because a lead artist would be looking at it and think, do they think this is good enough? They start questioning your taste, or what you think what's good or what's not.
So what you're saying is that we should pull artwork that we feel is outdated from our ArtStation or
exactly.
Like we don't show that stuff.
Yeah, but first start posting, it's fine. But as you're improving and you think this is not good enough anymore, just remove it.
Gotcha. What about a piece of artwork that you did in the past, and now that you've honed in more on your skills, you can remake it and look it much better, improve the quality? Is that?
You can remake it, but I'm saying hide or archive the ones that you think they're not good enough anymore. Okay, as students, you have an advantage. You have time, and you can learn the new technology before the people that are in the industry. They're working 9 to 5 jobs, and they're in a niche that is different from what's the new technology is right now. So you can try to get to that first, and in a year or two, once it's relevant in the industry, it's easier for you to get hired before your competition. These are the new technology you can look at, mostly Unreal Engine stuff. Yeah, I know. Extra tips, use source control, things like GitHub or Perforce. I got asked a few times during interviews, as artists, you're gonna be working with a team, and they want to know that you can push and pull and commit and do all that. They don't want to. They will teach you, but it's easier to hire someone that can already do that. The other ones are for management: Trello, Notion, Miro, Milano. And if you answer questions on forums, someone might find you that is working in a studio, and they think, well, if you were able to answer that, then you're probably good enough to do whatever they're trying, and then you can get a job from there. These two, Embark and the Coalition, I like their pipelines. They're up to date. So if you want to get a job, or you want to aim to get a job at some point, just look up these two and see what the requirements are for your position that you're trying to apply for. And based on that, you know what you need to learn. For example, this is for 3D artists. You can get and find those later, but this is just examples: concept art and UX. These are the requirements at Embark. And I've noticed environment artists are more treated like technical artists there at Embark, because the game is very technical, the one they're working on. Salary expectation, Glassdoor is a good one to find people who reported their salary on there. So you need experience to get a job, but you need a job to get experience. So the easiest way to do it is through internships. For companies, it's just cheap labor, and you get work experience. One thing to just be wary about, in the AAA industry, a lot of juniors, they're flooding to the AAA, and they can pay juniors less. Just something to know about. Game Development Map, that's a good site to find jobs all over the world. A free resource on ArtStation by Clinton Crumpler. He'll tell you how to present yourself, and that's his resume on the side. You can just copy that resume, it's good. Just same yeah, it's like same format. It's just not, don't really take all. You didn't do these things. Yeah. Interview is all about soft skills. You already got the job. Maybe there's other people that are interviewing at the same time, and someone might be better. But let's say you're the only candidate. You got the job. You just try to just be human. And but the way you do it, just go outside and make some friends. But it's easier said than done. Now that's the AIs we have now: DALL-E 2, Midjourney, Stable Diffusion, and I think there's a few new ones. Last year there was a protest on ArtStation. Everyone started posting no AI, no AI. And the economy is not doing the best right now. There's a video by Flip Normals you can watch to understand what's happening and why in more detail than corporate greed or something. But the only thing you can do is just keep working and growing. And I see the skill level is increasing year by year, so you just need to up that skill level. Alternatives. These are some alternatives you can do while learning or trying to get a job. Some better advice from my friend. Let's do a competition. So we'll do control rig and UEFN plus verse. So whoever can do like the best work there on one of these gets a human tablet. That's something I will do. But I think these two will be relevant in the next 2-3 years, and you might be able to find. If rigging is one thing you want to do, try control rigging on Unreal Engine. Verse will be, and this is Tim Sweeney's words, Unreal 6 will be Unreal 5 plus verse. So if you get into verse earlier, it'll help you. And that's the talk. Thank you for your attention. Last thing, just some portfolio reviews. If you want to send me your 3D art or ArtStation, I'll help you out there. Any questions? Yeah.
You mentioned way back about art pipeline. Can you explain to people that aren't artists or technical artists, like, how would you explain to me about this five what a pipeline?
So for art, you need to get the assets in the game engine. You've got 3D models, textures, animations, rigs, and all of that. So in a game studio, you have all these. So these are usually different disciplines, and they need to work together. So the company, they have someone in the company that puts down a pipeline. They say this should happen first, this should happen second, third, and so on. And they put them next to each other, and they kind of organize this in a, even on with the management team. They say these have to happen in the first 2 weeks, and so on. They block out time, and so they kind of depend on each other. And once you put them all together, and those assets are in the engine working, that's like the pipeline from start to from nothing to the engine. Depends. If you're an indie developer, yes, you have to do the whole thing. And if you're just doing one thing in that company, then you just do that one thing, one part of the pipe. You had a question?
Oh, yeah. You mentioned verse earlier. Can you describe what that is?
What is it?
Verse.
Verse. It's a scripting language for Unreal Engine. It's not C++. It's more like, I would say, Python, but it's a little bit more advanced than Python.
I see. So it's. Do you think it's something that's going to exist outside of Blueprints? Do you think they're going to continue working with it?
I doubt they're going to deprecate Blueprints, but I think it's going to be both. Some things will be way easier in Verse than and others will be easier in Blueprint.
Would you compare that to something like GD Script or something?
Yeah.
You seem to be an end-user that is conspicuously absent from your software.
I don't know what you're talking about. Not for artists. Yes, for programmers. He's talking about Unity.
I'm not an artist, but I feel like I gotta ask this. What about the not safe for work stuff?
Not safe for work? I'm not sure about this.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah. We're good? Okay.